can. You cannot just go and say, I like it. It's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world order, yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it. I want to take it for mine. That is a very colonized.
You have said you are.
I have never ever said we're going to go to Greenland and quote colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
Scott, don't do it. Don't do it to like that, Scott. You got fired from your job. How relevant are you? You got fired, ma'am. Oh man, we conservatives just keep winning. I tell you, we just keep winning. God, don't get it. We just keep winning.
Fired from your job.
You can agitate.
Irrelevant when I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
Scott, if you want to engage in personal insults,
I don't, but you
what
do.
You lack in the legitimate point, you make up for in personal
I don't. You
personal insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage.
No, we're not.
So if you want to engage in personal insults,
we're not
if I were
isolated.
you, I would reserve that for your party, who is increasingly isolated. This our position
outside of the United States.
He's mercurial. Honestly, if it was Kamala Harris behaving this way, they'd call her hormonal and hysterical, right? Look,
we'd have to get elected to be.
But yes, and if she had been elected, and if Hillary Clinton had been elected, if any woman had been elected and been acting this way, they'd say it was menopause.
She would have never stood up to China. So I think this is a mood issue.
I tell you, man, them conservatives be on a roll, don't they? Them conservatives be on a roll. I'm telling you.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Happy day, oh happy day, oh happy day. Woo! We just keep winning. We just keep winning. What's going on, family? I hope everybody is blessed, well, healthy, and that nothing but the best is going on in all you beautiful people's life. And it's finna get hot, spicy, heated on this CNN panel, man. It really is. And I keep telling you, don't with them conservatives. Don't go there with them conservatives. You know, especially when yo stank. Especially when yo stank. I'm just saying. You know, and they think they can go there with Scott Jennings at that too. Scott Jennings, tough, and we're not gonna say a prayer for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, you get in that lion's den. Good luck, man. But this CNN panel got heated, man. As they start talking about what's going on right now with Trump, the tariffs, China. Oh, China. We got a new sheriff in town. We got an actual leader. We're not effing around anymore. America's done getting ripped off. And oh boy, but Scott Jennings humiliated, destroyed this MSNBC host. Used to be, you know, she got fired. Miss Tiffany Cross, you know. Yeah, she got a good smack and belt whooping on live on TV, man. You know, and this is how it's done. And it actually broke the internet, man. But and then we seen Anna Navarro and what she had to say. When she opened up her mouth, man, that lady from The Spew, not The View, The Spew. You know, I don't even know why she even opens up her mouth, man. But she said, if Kamala was behaving this way, they would have called her hormonal and historical. And that she's on her period. I mean, and Scott Jennings says, well, she would have to be elected. She would have never stood up to China. She would have never stood up. Yeah. she probably would have got up there and laughed, cackled, and 2 coconuts would have fallen out the coconut tree and said that today is the day that we show love and not beat down China to what has been China to what has been America. I'm just saying, man. That's actually what happened. We didn't just dodge a bullet. We dodged a nuclear missile with those Democrats, man. Tampon Timmy, stolen valor Tim. You know, Tim was down there in China parading and celebrating everything. What a disgrace. Mr. I was a knucklehead. Y'all seen him get booed off stage this past week from those veterans? They called him a coward. They said you sympathize with with China. They said get the fuck out of here, Tim Walz. Yeah. Look at this.
He's mercurial. Honestly, if it was Kamala Harris behaving this way, they'd call her hormonal and hysterical, right? Look.
Well, you'd have to get elected to be.
But, well, yes, and if she had been elected and if Hillary Clinton had been elected, if any woman had been elected and been acting this way, they'd say it was menopause.
She would have never stood up to China, so I think this is a mood issue, right?
No.
Menopause, y'all. Menopause. You know?
I thought,
but it wasn't provoked by one man.
But I disagree.
Go ahead, Scott.
I think the market meltdown and the interest rate hikes and everything that happened in 2022 and during most of Biden's term actually was caused by one person. The President of the United States led his party to printing $1.9 trillion of money into the economy. Ooh. That caused the inflation. And the markets reacted, the interest rates reacted.
Was that bad, Scott?
Was it bad that the markets were down 20 and 30% in 2022? You seem to think it's bad today. Was it bad then?
Was it bad that, if in your view, that one man precipitated a stock market drop? So is it, to Eric Erickson's point, is it bad now that one man has precipitated massive sell-offs in the stock market and a risk of recession?
Well, we're going to see how it turns out. I don't know that we're in a risk of a recession right now.
So you won't say that it's bad now?
I don't know how it's going to turn out. But your question to me was, this has never happened before. It happened for 4 years.
My question to you is about being intellectually honest. If it was bad then, shouldn't it be bad now?
Mm-hmm. I don't know how this is going to turn out. It's been a week.
No, but listen.
So we'll see.
To Eric.
Oh, Scott, man. How do y'all feel about Scott Jennings? Let me know in the comment section down below, man. They say CNN, he's the only reason CNN has any viewership left. You know? But this is the star of the show right here. You got fired from your job. How relevant are you? Because she said you're not in the government, so you're not relevant. He says, well, you got fired from your job. How relevant are you, ma'am? And they just started busting out laughing.
Not just go and say, I like it, it's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world order, yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it, I want to take it for mine, that is a very colonized attitude.
I have never ever said we're going to go to Greenland
and they always make them false claims, putting words in people's mouth, twisting words, saying what, she's from MSNBC though. So we don't expect anything different. That's all they do. Twist words, fake news, fear mongering, propaganda, lies. Nothing ever adds up. Watch how Scott handles this.
Quote, colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
If you want to engage in personal insults,
I don't, but you do.
What you lack in a legitimate point, you make up for in personal insults.
I don't. You
personal insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally.
Ma'am, you just called him irrelevant. You can't take the fire now?
It is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage.
No, we're not.
So if you want to engage in personal insults,
we're not
if
isolated.
I were you, I would reserve that for your party who is increasingly isolated. This our position outside.
Yeah, buddy. You just can't make it up. I want to see what Greg got to say on this. I see he did a video on this earlier.
Making sense, and because he's making sense, people get triggered by that, and
they're always triggered.
Scott Jennings reminded Tiffany Cross that, hey, you got fired from MSNBC as she basically tried to say that Scott Jennings, in his opinion, is irrelevant. He fired back on her in the most humiliating way possible live on television. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
Precisely. Trade is asymmetrical with China. We imported over 439 billion products from China. We exported over 140 billion from China. Their own foreign ministry has said, we will not flinch. We will not genuflect to a bullying government. I respectfully disagree.
You, though, Tiffany, that we rely so much on an adversary to make most of our goods?
Listen, whether it bothers me or not is irrelevant. I'm dealing with reality. It is important, but this is what it is.
No, it doesn't bother her. No, she's totally fine with it. She's totally okay with it. She just hates Trump. These people can't explain why they're against what Trump is doing outside of, well, again, they just don't like Trump. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a national security concern, right? We are way too dependent on China. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's time for us to start to decouple from China because it's best for our national security. Okay, I mean, China is getting to the point where they can cripple us before war even starts because they will basically just stop sending us the things that we would need to fight a war, right? And you can't be that dependent on an adversary, right? You can't. It's just not smart. But again, these people, they don't care about that. They haven't deeply thought about this issue or this subject. Again, they just hate Trump. So that's what all this really is.
The reality that we are dependent on so many things to come out of our biggest adversary in the world. They are the enemy, and we should not be dependent on them.
But no, they are not our enemy. They're our biggest trading partner. And if we may
earth minerals and you don't.
They're the enemy.
Right. But listen, but like it or not, sure, Michael, they are our biggest trading partner. And if we were to manufacture iPhones here, iPhones would cost $3,500. The American people are not going to tolerate that. We have one of the highest standards of working conditions here. I don't think that we can say, forget you, China. They literally.
Okay. So you're okay. Hold on, sure, Michael. So you're okay. You're okay if we continue to put our own economic and national security future in the hands of our biggest enemy because effectively they use slave labor to build stuff, and that makes it better for us. That is terrible.
I am 100% not okay with that, but I'm dealing in the reality of what is.
Do you want to change it?
But we need to.
I absolutely want to change it. I don't know that changing it means isolating us on the global stage.
So what happens with these tariffs? If I could ask, what happens if we ever have a military conflict with China and they say, you know what, we're going to put an embargo on anything shipping to the United States. We're going to stop everything. What happens then?
Don't you think that in a situation we would want to have friends?
Not China.
No. I'm saying allies, not the ones that, like people that we put tariffs on in the last week. Wouldn't you think that what we would want is to build trading relationships with people who like us?
Fair trade relationships that benefit the United States and not our friends. That's not a good friendship. That's an abusive relationship.
Fair relationships with people who are our friends. Wouldn't that be the right strategy?
I would agree with fair.
But
that's what he's doing right now, right? That's what Abby Phillip doesn't understand. We are doing that, right? We're building trade relationships, fair trade relationships with our allies, right? People, our friends, but we have to figure out who exactly is with us and who's against us, who's going to negotiate in good faith and who is not, right? And that's what this whole thing is about, right? To get all the countries together and understand that, hey, we have to make the global playing field more fair for all of us, and China is cheating over everybody, right? So that's essentially what's happening. But again, these people aren't patient enough. They also, again, because they're Trump deranged, they don't want to see what President Trump is doing. They don't want to see it, right? That's what's happening.
At all.
What happened over the last week was not that. What happened over the last week was that we said we're going to treat Britain and France and the EU like China. We're going to just take the same formula we use for China and slap it on our friends.
I mean, again, respectfully, the EU, I don't really consider them our friends. Okay, I consider them to be a welfare state at this point, and we should be treating them like China until they get their act together, right? So, I mean, I don't have a problem with how President Trump is treating the Europeans. In fact, I think he should be treating them more harshly, right? To be honest with you.
Make any sense to you?
What makes sense to me is to decrease the trade issues that we have with other countries. I think that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to me that our friends across the globe have a benefit to trading with the United States and American workers do not. I mean, these deficiencies do exist.
Why do you want to repair 70 years of imbalance? And I agree fully with both of you that the trade relationship vis-a-vis the United States had to be readjusted.
You've talked about it.
Yes, but you don't do it overnight. and you don't offend your allies while you're doing it, with the whole Greenland, 51st state, Japan, you just don't do that. Not if you're going to turn around in goodness knows when and say, can we have your help?
It's a colonizer's attitude to say, I like it, I'm just going to steal it. Now, the fact of the matter is, in this new land, you cannot just go and say, I like it, it's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world,
see how she picked up on what he had said and ran with it?
Yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it, I want to take it for mine, that is a very colonizing attitude.
I have never ever said we're going to go to Greenland and quote colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
If you want to engage in personal insults,
I don't, but you do.
What you lack in a legitimate point, you make up for in personal insults.
I don't. You
personal insults. The point I am making is, in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are including you outside of the United
She got super hurt by that. She got super hurt because she tried to tell Scott that his opinion was irrelevant because he's not a government official. But yeah, she was fired from MSNBC and somehow her opinion is relevant, right?
Man.
Again, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And because, again, she can't really dispute the points that Michael and Scott Jennings are making about how this is a national security issue, she runs to talk about how, well, Trump has a colonizer's mindset, right? As if that's a bad thing, by the way, right? I mean, is it really, right? Is it really a bad thing to want to have dominance on the world stage, right? Is it really a bad thing to want to secure resources and land for future prosperity, right? Is that really a bad thing? Okay, I'm just saying. If somebody told me that I had a colonizer's mindset, I don't think I would be offended. I actually would take that as a compliment, right? Because that means that I have a mindset in which, again, I'm looking to dominate, right? I'm looking to establish my superiority over other folks. And hey, you know, at the end of the day, I don't have a problem with that if somebody thinks of me in that way. So again, these people think that what they're saying is like a bad thing, and it's like, no, it's not a bad thing. That's actually a great thing, right? It's actually a great thing to make sure that the global order is beneficial towards the United States of America, right? That's kind of what you would want out of a president, to be concerned about that, right? That is what President Trump is doing.
United States have you all spoken to in the last few weeks?
A lot.
Several.
I've been speaking to you frequently over the
You're my main ambassador.
You're slowly back.
No, I speak to a lot of Europeans. I speak to a lot of Panamanians. I speak to a lot of Central Americans, and they think, I'll tell you what they think. They think he's acting like a dictator. They think he's acting a lot like Ortega in Nicaragua, a lot like Maduro in Venezuela, a lot like they act in Cuba.
Are they serious when they say that?
Oh no.
Yes.
By
the dictatorship?
Yes. Attacks on the free press.
I was in Brussels last week.
Anna Navarro.
Hang on, guys.
Dictatorship.
Just
we're not
one at a
even
time.
close to dictatorship in the United States.
Absolutely.
In the United States?
Did you see what he did today?
Hang on one second. Hang on one second. One at a time, please.
That's all you get from liberal women, man. That's all you get. You know. That's all you get, man.
The 2020 election results, who worked for him, asked for the DOJ to investigate him. That's what dictators do.
We're going to get to that later. We're going to get to that later.
People believe that we live in a dictatorship in America?
I lived in one.
And I know you have.
Okay,
so you should know better than to say that we live in a dictatorship in the United States of America.
They censor the press, like he just did with the AP.
Okay.
So that's they do not listen to judicial orders like he hasn't done.
Hey, hold on, Michael. Hold on. Let me let Richard, because.
Yeah. So I don't think.
Yeah. I want to see what he has to say after this.
I care about what Panamanians think or what Europeans think or what Nicaraguans think. I don't care about what any of these people think. I don't care about what these liberals think, right? They can think Trump is a dictator all day. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Trump is doing what he has to do. And these people can be mad about it.
He's doing exactly what he campaigned on. I mean, what we voted for is doing exactly what he said. Not the complete opposite. That's what I don't understand, man. But you know, I love they said we don't care what the other side thinks, man. I mean, people with Trump derangement syndrome, you know, they don't want to hear things out. You know, it's just bad man, orange man, bad.
can boohoo, whine, and cry, but they're going to be better off in the long run, right? They just hate to give Trump a victory. You're seeing a whole lot of cope in the media with liberals and Democrats about President Trump and what he just achieved when it comes to turning the world against China. But hey, it is what it is. It doesn't matter what President Trump does. He could end world hunger or end all the wars, okay? And these people would still find a way to be upset, to be mad, okay? Say that he's a dictator, that he's an evil person, he's Hitler. It doesn't matter what he does, okay, or how much good he does as president. These people are going to still be mad. So let me know what you guys
think. No matter how much good he does, man can end cancer right now. They won't get up, clap, be happy. They're still going to tear this man down. And we've been saying that for a very long time, man. You know, huge shout out to my brother Greg for that. That's an amazing take, man. But I want to hear from you guys. What do y'all think about all this, man? Scott Jennings, once again, just, you know, undefeated on CNN. And CNN got the only reason they have any viewership left, you know. Look at this.
What the administration is doing, only 33% said because they like what the administration is doing. So if we want to just keep
question,
going,
who's more popular right now, Donald Trump or congressional Democrats?
Doesn't matter. Donald Trump happens.
Oh, man, I tell you. But I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace and love, family.